Okay, so this is the November 21st library board meeting. We're just going to start with attendance first. We have a couple new faces in the building today. So if we just want to start on this end and just tell us your name, and then you're new in person. So just tell us like a little quick bit about you. Like what part of town do you live in? What do you do? And why did you want to be on the library board?
Great, thank you, Amy. My name's John Rodenbiker. I live in just south of downtown here in the Hawthorne neighborhood with my wife Erica, my daughter Elizabeth, who is a senior at North, and my son Jack, who's in 8th grade at Ben Franklin. And I manage the information security division for Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Dakota.
Oh, nice.
And I'm really happy to be here. I am a huge advocate for public services, for lifelong learning, and I'm happy to serve. So thank you for having me.
Welcome. Nice to have you.
Okay, Kristen Schipper.
Okay. I'm Amy Oren.
Hannah James.
Paul Jensen.
Tim Dirks.
That's it. All right. Do we have a first item on the agenda is our approve order of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the order.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, next on the agenda is approval of our minutes from the October 17th meeting. Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Great. Third item on the agenda is public comment. Not a big crowd here today. Next, we have our staff report from Megan.
Hello, you have a copy of my report in your packet. I will just give you some highlights. It has been a busy couple weeks at the library. We're just getting ready for the end of the year. Last week we were putting in all of our final book orders for this fiscal year and also planning events through May to give to our public relations person so she can start putting together the newsletter that goes out for spring. Some things we have going on. We have a new service with Community Options. They are visiting the library on the same days that Job Service is. So they come to the Carlson branch and the main library and just are available for people to get information about what services they have, some help signing up for services. So that is fantastic. We don't have much community engagement going on for the end of the year just because there's a lot of other things going on. But we have children's staff that's attending the Nutcracker at NDSU. They're going to the matinee performances and beforehand are doing a story time and a craft themed around Nutcracker and the ballet. We have some gingerbread house decorating coming up both for kids and teens. For teens, it's December 2nd for, ages 5 to 12 or so. For the kids ones later on in the month, those do require some prep and materials, so it's pre-registration for those. For the event for adults, we have a program coming up with the Grinchmas wreath. So that is something that we've done a couple times now where we put a movie on the big screen and do a craft while watching the movie. So they are showing how the Grinch stole Christmas while creating a Grinch-themed wreath. And I also wanted to mention that our silent reading party is at the Troll Lounge at the Sons of Norway this month. That's a 21 up event, and it just seems very Christmassy for some reason to be at the Sons of Norway in December. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Is this our first time doing the family puzzle competition?
We have had puzzle competitions before. This is the first time it is a family one.
Oh, okay. I see it's maxed out now, and I'm curious to see how it goes because I think that'd be really fun to incorporate a couple times during the winter season. Mm-hmm. But it's cool. Thank you. Next, on to our director's report.
Yes, per your packet, you have it there. A lot of quarterly meetings with my team. That was always a good time. One thing there under partnering at the last, you see, I attended the North Dakota State University School of Architecture, and they were juniors giving presentations on their view of a new library for Painesville, Minnesota.
Oh,
And it was interesting to get their take on that and sit through that and kind of critique that. It's always fun. It was really a great experience to get out and see what the young minds are creating in terms of libraries for the future. So that was exciting. If anyone has any questions.
okay. Any questions on the director's report? And then no unfinished business. Moving on to number 7, then new business. Review our strategic plan, goals 4 through 6.
Right. If you remember those, and I sent them out, last meeting we had goals 1 through 3. And so now we're kind of closing the ring here with goals 4.4 to 6. Goal 4, the Fargo Public Library will develop community partnerships that will increase visibility, maximize resources, and strengthen community collaboration. The first objective for that, 4.1, develop community partnerships that increase visibility. The first associated action step with that, increase sign up for a library card events at area businesses in conjunction with other organizations. One of the big evolutions that we experience is the evolution of the technology. So now every community engagement event that we have the ability to A, check things out, and B, register patrons right there on the spot. So you see that there in terms of kind of coming up that. So whether it's business after hours, Pride in the Park, or police picnic, or whatever it might be, we have items to check out, and we have the ability to register for patrons right there. The next action step, identify groups or organizations that are not currently utilizing the library and try to partner with them. You can see a number there. The library has collaborations in the past with YouthWorks, Gigi's Playhouse, Charism, and local homeless shelters. And then continuing with objective 4.1, another action step, encourage staff to seek opportunities through personal connections to work with a variety of community groups. Looking at that, a variety of staff have utilized their connections to identify collaborations with the following organizations: NDSU, Rape and Abuse Crisis Center, Gladys Ray Shelter, Freedom Resource Center, Germans from Russia, Master Gardeners, FM Choral, Historical and Cultural Society of Clay County, TEDx, and the Red River Zoo. Looking at the next objective for Goal 4, develop community partnerships that maximize resources. You can see the action step there, facilitate conversations with public and private partners to identify shared strategies regarding community growth. And we did that through the facilities master plan, where we had discussions with the Fargo Park District and the Fargo Police Department. We currently have a partnership with the Fargo Park District, with the Dr. James Carlson Library and Valley Senior Centers, and it's been a wonderful relationship. So we're looking at just kind of exploring that perhaps in the future, in a future location. Another action step, explore corporate sponsorships of major library programs. The board approved the policy back in 2019. Then the pandemic hit, and so it's been kind of different world in terms of first things first for the library and the economy and that kind of thing. So we haven't quite really gone back to that to approach it. Maybe in the future, I think between just everything that's gone on, just trying to right the ship and then move forward. Next action step, identify mission relevant community events and partnerships for mutual benefit. And I think you guys see that with, Megan's monthly report and everything that you see in terms of community engagement. I think out of all the activities, all the work that the staff has done in terms of the strategic plan, I couldn't be more proud of all the work that's gone in terms of community engagement, how that's really increased. And you can see it certainly in your board packet when you're looking the number for just last month. I mean, we went to Boo at the Zoo, and that was 1,919 people that they interacted with at Boo at the Zoo, which is tremendous. And that's the kind of thing. So it's always active going on, and we do it, and the staff does it within the economy of the staff hours that we have available, with all the other stuff that we have to do, and it's just tremendous. Objective 4.3, develop community partnerships that strengthen community collaboration. On the action step under that, continue to expand homeless outreach services. The homeless outreach specialist position through the Gladys Ray shelter that we had at one time, no longer at the main library. They have developed mobile outreach, and we utilize them quite frequently. The Downtown Engagement Center has opened, and certainly coordinate with them to a certain degree. I would say that we need more based on what we've experienced this past year, obviously, and continue to work with city administration, harm reduction, and to see what we can do in that regard. Next action step, identify partners to assist in serving at-risk populations. You can see that there, partner with community options that have table at Main and Carlson once a month, Megan mentioned. Participate in Life Cares United event at the Arbors at McCormick Park, which is a very challenged neighborhood. Participate in Day of Dignity at Broadway Square, and participate in YMCA free lunches program with book bike visits to elementary schools. And obviously we continue to partner with harm reduction in that regard. Objective 4.3 again, action step, explore and identify potential remote service points in collaboration with public and or public organizations. Again, going back to remote circulation registers currently taking place at all community engagement events. We also have the Read and Share books available at a number of organizations in the community. What that is items that we've withdrawn or had given to us that the Friends of the Fargo Public Library don't want to utilize. We make those available for free out in the community. Also, as part of the facilities master plan, potential remote service points have been identified as well. Moving on to goal 5, Fargo Public Library will optimize infrastructure by providing safe and accessible spaces, identifying user-friendly technology, and utilizing and strengthening financial resources. The first objective there, 5.1, provide safe and accessible spaces. Action step, eliminate sole staffing situations at all library locations. This was one of the first things out of the start that we got taken care of working with city administration. So staffing plan approved by City Finance City Commission, 2 FTEs were hired, basically eliminating sole staffing at all locations. Action step, continue staff training related to safety and security. That's been an ongoing thing. Obviously, we just had Jan Eliason, the head of harm reduction, come and talk about the homeless situation and keeping staff engaged in that regard. Action step, continue to evaluate security staffing needs. That's been ongoing. With city administration harm reduction, for a while we were getting harm reduction staff person on site for a certain amount of time on a weekly basis. Unfortunately, they've had a really hard time in this workforce environment to retain staff in harm reduction. So obviously their availability to be on site at the library has become rather limited. So this is an ongoing situation. Action step, update facilities master plan, plan completed and approved. Got that done. Action step, initiate ADA audit of all locations. That was completed back in 2019. Continuing with goal 5, objective 5.2, identify user-friendly technology. The action step, collaborate with CDIS to improve internal knowledge-based tools. The SharePoint platform that we've been utilizing was upgraded back in 2019. We also worked on introducing the Trello platform added for department project management back in 21. Another one, action step, explore new technology resources for circulation or public use. One thing that we put out back in 2018, the hotspots, we check out mobile Wi-Fi little devices. Those have been absolutely hot in terms of circulation. And also putting charging stations at all locations back in 21. Continuing with goal 5, objective 5.2, identify user-friendly technology. You see the action step there, continue the integration of digital library resources within the integrated library system. We had to take a step back on that. What it is our catalog is very specific. We want our records to be really clean and usable and not clunky and not usable. And unfortunately, the vendors that have the records for the e-content are so poor. And not only that, but the method, the model that exists now for e-content is, it used to be you'd buy a particular title and it was yours to access and check out for as long as you were on their platform. But now they say, okay, after X amount of circulations or X amount of time, that title's going to go away. So then you have to repurchase it if you want to keep using it. But what that does to the catalog, there's no clear way to go in there and keep all these records for these e-content that doesn't exist. So we basically said, for the sake of where the technology is, let's keep the catalog as tight as we possibly can and not integrate that. You know, I think with the continued exponential growth in e-content circulation, I think we're doing okay. I'd hate to gum up the works with it, in other words. Another action step, identify and implement technology competencies for staff to increase service efficiencies. We surveyed the staff back in 2022, 21 to 22, and did a number of trainings related to that. Phone training was one of them. We'd had several of those. Cross-training adult services staff and circulation tasks. We had to do that back in 2020 because everybody had to kind of work on circulation tasks with the whole COVID situation. Continuing with goal 5, objective 5.3, utilize and strengthen financial resources, action step. Identify efficiencies in purchasing. You know, I think we do that on vendors reviewed on a regular basis. We're really tight on that. Action step, continue to identify strategies to grow endowment. What we're doing now is obviously as we've received major gifts, that gets rolled into the principal. And also the annual distributions, if we don't have anything specific, all those go rolled back into the principal. So the only time we touched the dividends is when we were working on redoing the second floor of the main library, a certain area, and that was back in 2019, 2020. Action step, analyze operating budget to ensure sufficient resources and allocations. You know, we analyze the budget as we're going through the budget year. And once we obviously get into budget creation, as we're working with city admin, finance, we have a capital improvement plan developed, and that's been really helped with the development of the facilities master plan. And we continue to evolve our staff position review, updated as we go. Goal 6. Fargo Public Library will increase community awareness and support of collections and services by utilizing creative messaging, engaging community outreach, and enhancing our voice via partnerships. Objective 6.1, increase community awareness of collections and services. Action step, update and expand media plan. Media plans updated on an annual basis. Action step, create an FPL YouTube channel. You can see the link there. Action step, continue to identify website functionalities in order to ensure a patron-focused user experience. We were able to get our web calendar improvements rolled out in 2019. The one challenge that exists with that is, obviously, as a department of the city of Fargo, our website has to be in line with City of Fargo website. So there isn't, we don't have an independent website. We fit within the parameters of the City of Fargo's website. For some folks, that's kind of challenging. I think one thing that saves us is an enormous amount of time in terms of managing that. I think there's an enormous cost that we don't incur by being part of that. So it has its ups and downs, but I think, with everything else we got going on, it is part of being part of the greater city in regards to that. Continuing with Goal 6, Objective 6.2, Development and Creative Messaging. Action steps, sign up new card holders for the library's electronic newsletter. So we have a procedure now when folks register, they can opt in to receive that newsletter if they wish. Action step, identify merchandising opportunities related to programming and promotions. Been really good at this. The Brunsdale Story Walk installed in 2020. We now have the Story Walk down at the Ed Clapp Elementary School. We have the story time right outside of Maine. We also have the Lucky Day collection rolled out in 2021. What that is high books that are very popular that you can't place a hold on them, but they're there. And we make sure we have copies of that to be checked out. We had, kind of coming out of COVID, we had the library card design contest back in 2022. And I can say that there was an adult, a teen, and a children's winner. And I tell you what, the teen one that won, it kind of has this stained glass look on it. Everybody wants that. It is absolutely huge. So that was fun. Action step, create buzz by providing unique resources and programs. One of the things we came up with is the book bike, and we kind of take that out to community engagement events that within bike riding distances. And it really is a draw to have kind of a prop to have stuff on it, items to be checked out and whatnot. Like I said in the previous, where we've taken it out to schools. And so it's kind of a node for the library, a representation and identification in regard to that. Also, we really, obviously, by necessity, really began to look at virtual programming, because of the pandemic back in 2020. Continuing with Goal 6, Objective 6.3, develop engaging community outreach. And again, getting back to action step, expand partnerships with community agencies and events to bring the library to them. I think the folks have been tremendously successful in that regard. Programming and promotions team, along with community engagement committee, are continually identifying opportunities for collaboration programming with community organizations and a presence. The big thing is the presence. Have the staff, have the stuff out there. Action step, identify and connect with underserved populations. FPL continues to identify and collaborate with a variety of organizations to connect with underserved populations such as Head Start, Senka, WIC at Fargo-Cass Public Health, FPS Summer School, Gladys Race Shelter, Vocational Training Center, and the Native American Commission. Action step, develop speakers bureau at library staff to speak at community events. Well, we haven't established that formally, though. I take every opportunity to speak, and other folks do as well when asked. Objective 6.4, enhance our voice via partnerships. Objective 6.4, action step, develop relationships with business, healthcare, and higher education to identify future collaborations. FPL has relationships with a variety of businesses, healthcare, and educational organizations. We have utilized those relationships to provide a significant number of programs for the community. Examples are the One Book, One Community, program, health-related programs, silent reading events, children's summer reading challenge, film festivals, and family wellness programs. Next action step, library admin team members will seek out participation opportunities in local nonprofit organizations. Over a period of the strategic plan, admin team staff have contributed to the following nonprofits in the community: Red River Zoo, Germans from Russia, FM Choral, and Master Gardeners. 6.4, enhance our voices via partnerships. Action steps, seek out organizations willing to co-promote the library's resources with the organization's activities. The big ones there you see: One Book, One Community, Red River Valley Read Project, collaboration with Job Service of North Dakota, and many of programs with outside partners such as the North Dakota State University allow for co-promotion. So active, engaging staff, wonderful team, really getting out there, having a face in the community. I couldn't say how proud I am of the staff putting that together. Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
And let me know if this is not the time or place for these, but I do have some questions after looking through this, and thank you,
Sure.
Director Dirks. 4.1 and 6.3 are kind of related in identifying groups in the community, and it looks like your staff has done a fantastic job of that. I'm just curious, like, what is your approach, and how do you identify different groups and demographics that we want to reach out to?
I think there's two ways. I think a lot of times, like, the community engagement committee will sit and look at, where we looked at, let's be purposeful as best we can to say, what populations who aren't we reaching? And then you start brainstorming about, okay, what is the group that might be involved with that particular population? And you start communicating. Sometimes it gets somewhere. Sometimes, you're playing phone tag and maybe it doesn't materialize. But I think the one good thing is we have staff that have lived in the community a long time. And I think they have a good knowledge of the folks in town, and kind of reaching out and having knowledge of, I can talk to so-and-so, and I think they know more about these folks. So it's kind of being purposeful, brainstorming, connecting, building those relationships over time. And I think that's the major way it gets done.
If we follow up, are there any specific demographics or groups you're going to target in 2024?
I think the more, for me, I see us, obviously, when we're looking at the environment downtown, and I think we need to partner as much as we can, both city-related, public, or whatever, is continue to tell the story and look at how we can maintain the environment. So I think it's a big question, it's a big issue, and every city's challenged with it. To me, I see that as one of the big challenges that we have right now. So as far as I'm concerned, I think the engagement folks are busy thinking about that, but for me, it's kind of keeping the ball rolling on how can we help the most vulnerable for the health of everybody involved. So
I have a comment. I think that you should also have included in there the services that you provide to the nursing homes and the assisted living. In there is an underserved population there. Now, my dad is at St. Catherine's, and he asked me specifically today to tell you how much he appreciates the volunteers that come in to nursing homes. So I think that's something that I think should be noted in your
right.
In there
And I
too.
think that that's the nature of strategic planning, where you're trying to find out what you're not doing. Mm-hmm. And see, this is where we knew back when we were putting this together that if there's one thing, yes, the outreach department, they're spot on, right? Pam Straight's got it together. Her team's got it together. Her volunteers are fantastic. Just to be able to do that all year on whatever the weather, be lugging all those bags of books out there in the weather to get to those folks. And so I don't in no way to mean diminish that activity vis-a-vis this discussion, because this was kind of, you got to think of this as things we identified that we needed to do back in 2017. And what I tried to convey with this is just all the work that went into accomplishing that. And
Yes.
no, I appreciate it, and I'll certainly pass that along.
Please do.
And yeah, outreach is tremendous.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
I have another question. Thank you for indulging me.
Sure.
Section 5.3 talks about our endowment. And I think that's really interesting. I'm wondering, is there a target balance and date to achieve that for this endowment?
You know, no target has ever been identified. For me, it was always trying to get to $1 million, essentially. A little bit of history in terms of approach. At one point, there was this idea, you know, maybe we do an annual endowment campaign. And we did some of that, and it was initially fairly successful. And then there was a bit of a question from the board at that time that we need to be really careful about what we're asking for and why we're asking for it, when, you know, the big asks in the future would be a capital campaign, you know, and that, if we get into that situation, we want that to be the focus, because that, you know, obviously they're larger in any kind of building campaign or anything like that. There's always going to be a public-private elements to those situations. So it was the board's idea at that time to kind of really back away from any kind of annual endowment ask kind of situation based on that. And I think, and I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, for me, looking at what was identified in terms of the facilities master plan, it's very salient, very important, and it's very future focused. And I wouldn't want to do anything to move away from that focus, because I think it's really important for the future of the Fargo Public Library. So long answer short, we've never really identified anything formal in that regard. It's been kind of something that the major benefits, we have gotten a few major gifts. The other thing is, you know, just coming out of the building project back in 2009, we got that building, the main library, done on time and under budget. And those monies rolled in, and we just put them right away in the endowment as principal. And so it's a good thing. So yeah, that's where we are with that.
Thank you. If I could have one last follow-up
Sure.
on that point. And this is just me getting to know the organization. Is there anyone focused on the development either of an endowment or a capital campaign at this time?
No.
Staff? Okay. Thank you.
No.
Thank you, Director.
Anything else?
I have one last question. So this takes us through all of the strategic plan points and your action items. What is next for the strategic plan, and how is it maintained and updated or revised here?
It's kind of lived a longer life than was originally identified. I think COVID had something to do with that.
Sure.
I think, and I thought about it, but one thing I really wanted to get done first, given that the last facilities master plan was done in 2004, and I'm just like, ugh. Town's a little bit different than it was back in 2004. So I wanted to get that done. I think looking out towards the future, I think with the facilities master plan in hand, I think we'll do a much better job in terms of strategic planning and kind of encompassing the goals with that. How does that marry up with what we're trying to accomplish? So I would imagine, and the other thing is we had to get through COVID. It's really hard to make strategic decisions when you're in an environment where it's first things first. You're righting the ship. You're returning. You know, when you think about what COVID did, especially for a public library, it turns your model completely upside down, where we focus on everything in terms of access, get people in, welcome, access to everything. That kind of took the whole thing and turned it upside down. And it takes a while to get back to, I would posit to the board that 2023 is actually, in my mind, the first non-epidemic year. I mean, it felt, I mean, that 2020 was what it was, 21, 20. This, in my mind, this is the first non-pandemic year. So I really want to get past that kind of view. And obviously, I feel good with this facilities plan in hand, and then really look and marry that up, you know, find a way forward in terms of processes for a new strategic plan. I think that would be good. So it's kind of, where are we, you know, and then going forward.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate
No,
that.
no
I hope
problem.
you don't feel that I put you on the spot. I appreciate your answers.
Hey, I'll tell you what I know, and if I don't know, I'll say I don't know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Thank you for reviewing these with us. All right, moving down to number 8. We are going to have you keep talking.
Yay.
October usage.
Right. Per your packet there, you see the library use. And what I want to point out is up at the top, the new registrations and approximate registered patrons. And of that, we have expanded our relationship with FPL to where parents can opt in for the students to utilize their public school ID as a library card. So 9,900 of those folks registered are students. So we're excited about that.
Yep.
The good thing is, kind of going back to the discussion of, you know, post-pandemic, you see in terms of attendance, that's ratcheting up. You know, across the board, we're certainly up over 20, 21, and 22. 2019 was a record year, so we're not quite back to 2019, but we're trending in the right direction. Under program attendance, I want to point out, kind of getting back to that other discussion in the strategic plan, you see under community engagement, you see 2,535 attendance. And that kind of goes like the Boo at the Zoo, I said. In River Market, it was 460 people interacting with. Business after hours, 60. An NDSU event, 57. So again, it's really exciting that obviously everything that's happening in the buildings, but then all the stuff that's happening outside the buildings. And see the volunteer hours, internet signups, electronic webpage hits are up. In terms of circulation, excited about that, obviously. Year to date, up over 8% over last year. That represents an increase of over 63,000 more items checked out over last year. And the month comparison back to October of 22 is up over 10% of that month. So that's exciting.
Okay. Any questions on the usage? All right, moving on to financials.
Yeah. You look at the donation summary. The $50 we received was in memory of Barbara North. On the expenditure side, you see the $800 for ads for the One Book, One Community. Thank you, friends, for providing that money. And then you see the $4,027. That $2,000 of that was for Northern Narratives. Another $1,980 for One Book, One Community, and $39 for Craft Noons. Again, thank you, friends. All funds donated by the Friends of the Fargo Public Library. The $472 was for children books. Again, thank you, Friends of the Library. And $30 for the Way to Go cards for staff recognition, again, thank you for the Friends for that, because we wouldn't be able to recognize staff if they were so generous. Big thank you to the Friends on that end. In terms of overall budget, you can see through 83% of the lapsed year, we're just under 77% expended. And again, we're watching that because I brought a request of city in regards to end of year financial concerns. So we're not being as aggressive as we would, as we've been in previous years in terms of utilizing resources through the end of the year. Hope that that continues to trend the right way as well. Good news, it's rather small, but on the revenue side, we've already well surpassed our estimated revenue for 2023. We had budgeted 20,000 for the year, and we're now at just over 27,000. We're not a revenue generator, but at least we're not a deficit.
Any questions on the financials? No? It doesn't look like we have anyone from Friends of the Library here today. So I guess it brings us to number 10. Next meeting is December 19th. And then we are adjourned.